This is my first autumn season in my new home art studio, and in this episode, I'm giving this space an autumn refresh, renovating the wooden exterior and doing another workspace makeover. I'll also be sharing my autumn art checklist, my favorite art history books to read, creative activities to do, and inspiring art documentaries to watch. I hope this episode will inspire you to have a cozy, creative, and artistic autumn season. Hi, I'm Lucy. After owning my art gallery for 3 years, I realized I wasn't living the dream. I wasn't living the artistic lifestyle I always wanted. So, I decided to close my art gallery and start a new artistic journey in my new home art studio. In this new series, we're going to renovate, decorate, and create together. So consider subscribing, join this new series, and welcome to the exclusive behind the scenes access to the Lucy Shop Art Studio. Good sunny morning. Unfortunately, yesterday, just a couple of hours after I finished staining and doing the varnish of all the doors and the windows in my art studio and in our home, it started pouring rain so heavily, non-stop, for a few hours. Now, the good thing is no major damage happened in the art studio. It just I need to do a small retouch for that window in some areas, but the door in our living room, I have to do the whole varnish once again because it wasn't completely dry. It needed a couple of hours, but unfortunately it started raining so bad and I wasn't able to do anything. So here's what I'm gonna do today. I'm going to do another makeover for my workspace, my office, my workshop area. Now I know it's been only a month and a half since I did the whole renovation, but now since I'm living here, I'm working here every single day, day and night, I can see what's working and what's not. And I need to do some changes for my workspace, especially for these 2 shelves and the things that I have around because I'm not using everything as I expected. But here's what happened. I knew that I'm gonna change just little things over there, but yesterday when I was doing the renovation for the doors and the windows, one thing started leading to another. And after I finished the doors and the windows, I looked at the wooden table we have at the terrace and I thought, I always wanted to stain that and put a varnish protection. Let's do that. And after that, I was like, I'm done. And I stepped into my art studio and I look at the desk and I thought, I always wanted a desk that's dark, rich brown, that's a little bit glossy. Instead of just doing some changes in my office area, let's do a whole makeover. So this is what happened yesterday. I stained this IKEA desk. This is an IKEA desk. I have 2 at my home, one for our dining table and one for my office. Luckily, this table is raw It's matte, it's not stained. So it's easy for me to change the color. The one that we got back then for the dining table, we can't do anything. So when I had this table at first, I stained it a little bit. But now when I put this art studio, that was like a couple of years ago. Now when I have this art studio, I always look at this area as the modern office. Something was off, so I need to make it a little bit warm, a little bit rich, a little bit dark. Especially now that it's the fall season, I feel like it's the perfect time to do this makeover once again. So I stained the table, but here's the thing. Oh my goodness, last night, because it was raining so bad, we had to close all the doors and all the windows, and I have to move the table indoor, and the smell, it's so toxic. I put the table here. The varnish smells so bad, and I really recommend never use varnish without putting a mask. It's very, very toxic. Even though when I was painting outside, I can still smell it. So I had to put the table inside, close the windows and the doors. And even when I was doing the renovation for the exterior, I thought, okay, let's do a small retouch for the interior of the doors. So the smell was very bad, especially we had to do the door in our living room. So at night, it's like I was just hoping that it will stop raining because we cannot sleep at home. So luckily the rain stopped. We opened all the doors and all the windows the entire night, and we closed the door in our bedroom as usual. So we will be able to have this ventilation in here. I can still smell the varnish, but since it's not raining, the doors and the windows will stay open for a couple of days, which is the perfect way to do that. So when I varnished the table, I put 2 thick layers of varnish. But what happened is in the second coat, the varnish did a little bit of bubbles. Now, I always hate using varnish because of that. And I always prefer to use a spray bar varnish on my paintings, but I always struggled with having varnish on big paintings because the spray doesn't work and you need to use the liquid, so it's a little bit challenging for me. But I wasn't expecting to give me these small bubbles on the wooden table. If you know anything, any information about how I can use thick layers of varnish without having this bubble, let me know. For the painting, they told me it's all about the brush. For the furniture, I don't know. So from here, it's extremely soft. It's like a mirror. On this side, it feels a little bit bubbly. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try to remove some of them because apparently I am able to do so, and rotate the table so where I place my hand, it's extremely soft. If you have any recommendations on how I need to use varnish on furniture without giving me this bubbly effect, let me know in the comments. I would be so grateful. So now let's keep moving. Let's move the table. I'm gonna tell you exactly what I'm gonna do over there. So here's what we're gonna do. This shelf at the current moment is collecting dust. I'm not using anything of these. These are all sentimentals. My crayons that I used when I was 3 years old, the pottery that I created, the first Da Vinci brand brush that I've used, my old drawings as a kid. So I prefer to put them on the second shelf, which I don't have easy access to, but they will be safe here without direct sunlight. And I want to place here things that I use on daily basis. I use a lot of books and notebooks every single day. Okay, the place is a mess, by the way. So I use these books every day. I read every day. I have an agenda. I use my laptop sometimes. I'm gonna put a light bulb. I'm gonna repot some plants. So I prefer to use this place for something I use on daily basis. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna change all of that. We're gonna repot some plants because basically they're dying and I need to do something about it. so glad I changed the color of this desk. This dark wood color complements my art studio so well and doesn't look so modern now. And the beauty of choosing that color is that all the texture and all the eyes, they appear even more and you can see them clearly. And this is my favorite part in working with wood furniture. Look at that. This is absolutely gorgeous. I'm so in love with how it turned out. Look how it was originally. I'm gonna show you. It was super bright and I hate this color. Look at that. Isn't it gorgeous? Now, I don't know if it's just me or you're like that too. I love to have an outgrown plant on my desk because it feels like I'm studying under a tree. The plant is still growing fast. It's doing great. There's no need to repot it because I'm not seeing any sign of root suffocation. It's perfect. This pot is perfect for this plant, so I'm gonna keep it here. Now I have a corkboard behind these plants. I'm not gonna change that because I don't use that on regular basis. I just put my achievements over there. And I love the fact that there's something hidden behind the plants. This like secret little thing. So I'm gonna keep it. How things are turning out. Now I still have to do the final touches tomorrow to make it feel more warm, rich, and more masculine. Look, even if it's in the middle of the summer, this is the vibe that I always love to have as an office. I like the dark wood colors. I don't like things to be so bright and fresh. I like it to be more cozy, more masculine. So I still have to do the final touches to achieve that. Now, I am not loving how this chair is looking. It's so modern, it's giving me the industrial look, and I love this chair so much because it's so practical for me, especially when I'm painting or when I'm writing for hours, because I do that on a daily basis. I'm not the type of person who loves to sit on a chair without moving. I can't. But I'm not loving how it looks, and the first thing that I see when I come into my art studio is that chair because it's annoying me so much. What I'm thinking to do is, is to place this vintage chair instead. Now it looks absolutely so much better with this table. But even though that I put this chair on the side and I can use it anytime I want, especially when I'm painting, it still looks like the outsider chair in the art studio. So what I'm thinking to do tomorrow is why not sand the chair and stain it the same exact color as the table. One, definitely it's gonna blend so much better in the space, and probably it's gonna look a little bit better with this table, and I can still keep it here and use it daily without having to switch the table every time I need it. So tomorrow we're gonna do a DIY for this IKEA chair. I'm gonna add the final touches for the entire art studio to make it ready for the autumn and winter season and make it a little bit more masculine. In addition, I am going to share with you my recommendation for the best artistic activities to do in the autumn season, like my favorite books to read, my recommendations for the best artistic documentaries, and so much more. I'll see you tomorrow. Good morning. I am so excited to share with you the artistic activities that I highly recommend to do in the autumn season. And I'm so confident that you are going to love this part of this episode because I'm going to share with you my best art history books to read, my TBR for art history books that I've got, and some artistic documentaries, artistic activities. So I have a lot to share with you. First of all, let's start with this. Recently, I got this gift from my husband on our wedding anniversary, and I love it so much. However, I am not going to recommend this specific piece because it didn't come with instructions. There are some sizes that they were wrong, and I have to send everything. But the whole process was so much fun. It was so enjoyable, and it's a library of books. It's made of wood. It took me around 10 hours or a little bit more, but I really enjoyed the process. I love reading, I love vintage style, I love books. I'm gonna show you some close-ups as well. So this is a very creative and artistic activity that you can enjoy in the autumn season. And what I love about this as well is that it's in music box. And I really enjoyed it so much. And this is one of the artistic activities that you can do in the autumn season. And what I love about it the most, it has some paintings and pottery from the inside. It fits my art studio so well. So if you like these kind of 3D wooden puzzles, I highly recommend to get one of these and do it as an artistic activity in the autumn season. You can find this on Amazon. As I mentioned, I'm not gonna recommend this particular piece, but there are a lot of other brands that you can find. Now, my favorite YouTube channels that I highly recommend if you love watching art history documentaries and art gallery documentaries and stuff behind the scenes. Number one, Great Art Explained. This is my favorite art documentary channel. The next one is the National Gallery. Now, on this channel, they share a lot of art history documentaries, and as well, they share behind the scenes preparations and stuff like that for the National Gallery, so I highly recommend. The third YouTube channel for art history documentary is called Perspective. I highly suggest never watch documentaries that are made by AI, and when you watch documentary there are no one-on-one interactions with artistic people because you don't know if they are sharing legit information or not. Now, I'm going to share with you some of my favorite documentaries that I've watched. I'm gonna leave them in the description box below as well. The first one, the first part is going to be all about Leonardo da Vinci. If you love Leonardo da Vinci, I highly suggest to watch How Leonardo da Vinci Changed the World, the discovery and restoration of Leonardo da Vinci, the Salvator Mundi. This is a very short episode, but it's very insightful. And Decoding Da Vinci. And as well, I have one of my favorite documentaries, if I was able to find it again, because I was looking up all my favorite documentaries and I have a lot. It's all about the Mona Lisa. I adore this documentary. If I was able to find it again, I'm gonna leave it in the link below. Now, another favorite documentary is about Michelangelo. The first one, Michelangelo, A Revolution in Art. And the second one, Michelangelo's David. This is a short documentary. I highly recommend to watch these. Another one of my favorite, absolute favorite documentary is for Claude Monet. Water Lilies, World's Greatest Paintings. I'm gonna leave it in the description box below as well. This art history documentary amazes me so much because it explains everything you need to know about the water lily, about the journey about this the journey of this painting, about the artist, the transition, how it became famous, and all the art history details about it. I highly, highly, highly recommend to watch this specific documentary if you are a fan of Claude Monet and if you're a fan of water lilies. And if you're not, it's an amazing episode. You will gain a lot of art history knowledge because of it. So these are my favorite documentaries and my favorite channels. I'm gonna leave everything linked in the description box below. Now, moving on to my favorite art books to read. Previously, I shared with you my top 1, 2, 3, 4 probably 5 or 6 art history books that I've read in my reviews, and it's one of my most popular episodes on my channel. I'm gonna leave it in the description box below as well. But today I'm going to share with you 2 books that I've read that I highly recommend, and 3 other books that I'm going to read this fall season and why I chose these books. So the first one, if you know me by now, the short story of art. I love this book. It's my favorite art history book. I highly recommend. It's by Susie Hodge. You can find it on Amazon. By the way, all these books you can find them on Amazon as well. This is all what you need to know about art history. She shares the movements, the themes, the techniques, and some artworks, and the way that she explains the details in this book is very easy to understand, yet it's very insightful and very packed with information that are necessary to understand in order to understand the art history in general. So for example, I'm going to share with you here the movements, all the movements about art. So each page, it has one specific movement. She mentions what's the name of the movement, the key locations about this movement, and as well the explanation. And who are the artists who paint in this era, and what's the key development with an example about this movement. And the date when this movement was created on the top. So it's very easy to read, very easy to understand, very insightful. And here, for example, we go to the themes, the paintings. There's no need to read it all at once, and you can skip as well, but I really suggest to read it in order for you to understand the transitions that were happening in the art history. So it's a very amazing book that I highly recommend. I cannot recommend this book enough, and I love the author so much that I have several books for her. And I chatted once with her. We had this really friendly talk together. She is an amazing author. Now, the next book that I highly recommend, if you are a fan of Vincent van Gogh, this is an amazing book that you will find his life, his biography, and 500 images of his work. Now, this is a heavy book. It's not an easy book. However, you will find everything that you need about the artist. It's a high quality book, and the pictures in this book as well, they are printed in a very high quality. The first part is all about the life of the artist, and the second part is about the explanation behind some of his paintings. So this is a book that you don't want to read lightly. It's not an easy book, however, it's very enjoyable to read, and this book helped me a lot so I can study the life of the artist, so I can give the workshop that's related to Vincent van Gogh, one of the art history workshops that I used to give in my art gallery. So a book that I highly recommend. You will get all the details that you need, the journey about Vincent van Gogh, his life, his artwork, his personal life as well, his journey and transition in his artistic career, and everything you need to know about the artist is available in this book. Now, my reads for the autumn season. I am so excited. I read a lot of books, and not only about art history, but I want to focus on art history books this autumn season because I am so into this artistic journey right now. Now, my artistic activity for the fall season is definitely going to be all about reading art history books. And now I'm going to share with you my next 3 art history books that I am going to read. Now, what I highly recommend is that when you are planning to visit a museum to see an art piece for the first time and you're so excited about it, read a little bit about this art piece, watch a documentary, buy a book about this museum, because when you do that, you will understand art from a different perspective. You won't be shocked when you see this painting, and you won't find the painting overrated because you know the history behind it. For example, one of the most common painting that a lot of people find it that's overrated is the Mona Lisa. But if you study about this painting, if you watch a documentary or read a little bit about it, I promise you, you are going to see this painting from a different perspective. Now, the reason why I'm telling you that, because I am hoping my next trip, I need to go to Paris and I want to go visit the Louvre and spend an entire day in the Louvre. And this is why I decided I want to read that book, which is called The Louvre, All the Paintings. This is a big, hefty book of 760 pages. And if you've been following me on my channel for a while, you probably know that in my previous episode, when I was doing the whole renovation of my art studio, I mentioned that when I finish this whole makeover, the first book that I'm going to read is this book. Now, this book is divided into several parts. I already started with that book and I'm loving it so much. I read the first part of it, which is all about the history of the Louvre, of the building, how it started, where the idea came from, the political side behind the artistic side, and how it was transformed to be the most important and well-known museum in the world. I love it so much. I learned a lot. And the next part, we start studying. I say studying because I love to study art history, about the paintings that are available in the Louvre. So you get the painting, the explanation behind it, so you'll understand what are you seeing if you decide you want to see a specific painting at the Louvre. So this book is divided into several parts. They tell you exactly where the paintings are available at the Louvre. So it's the perfect guide to have if you are planning to visit the Louvre one day. Now, the typography is a little bit tiny, so it's going to be a little bit challenging for me, but it's okay. And the best part about reading this book is that you can use it as a coffee table book. There's no need to read it all at once because every 2 pages talk about a different painting, different art piece, so you can skip through, you can switch, you can read it in order. I love to read it in order. So I am so confident that I'm not gonna finish this book in one stay. However, I need to finish that book really soon because I am so excited to understand this museum before I go. Now, the next 2 books that are on my TBR for the autumn season are for my favorite author, Susie Hodge. The next book that I'm going to read, and probably I'm going to read it in parallel, Elements of Art. 10 Ways to Decode the Masterpieces by Susie Hodge. I love her books so much because they help you understand art, not just explaining the art pieces, but how you can decode art, how you can understand the movements, the themes, like in the short story of art. So I am so excited to read this book because I am so confident that's going to help me understand art more and to understand how to read the art pieces. Now, there's no need to read them all in order, and it's well explained. The typography is really nice. The quality of this book is amazing, and I am opening this book for the first time. I love it. It's really interesting to read. So when I read all of these books, I'm gonna share with you my review as well. You can find these books on Amazon. The third book that I'm so excited to read in the autumn season, and I am so sure that this book is going to be a heavy book like the Vincent van Gogh book, and as well as for Susie Hodge, you can find it on Amazon, Monet, His Life and Works in 500 pages. This book and the Louvre, I need to read them for sure before I go to France because it's my go-to place. The first place that I want to go after the Louvre is the place of Monet. I'm from the type of person that if I love specific era and specific type of art, I like to study different artists. I'm not a fan in particular about Van Gogh or Monet or Da Vinci. Each person loves something different. I just love to have this art history knowledge in general. So his biography and the explanation behind his life, his art pieces as well. I'm so excited to read that book. And usually when I read these kind of books that have the biography and their career journey and their paintings, I summarize the book. I have a notebook and I write everything down. I memorize it. I study the artist because it helped me a lot with art history knowledge, with my workshops, with what I share with you. So that's why I always say I study the life of the artist, but you don't have to do that. But if I love this book, this is the same style, the same way of writing, I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna adore this book as well. So these are the books that I highly recommend, the books that I'm going to read or the autumn season, an artistic activity that I highly recommend to do if you like 3D puzzles, and as well my favorite documentaries to watch. I'm going to leave everything linked in the description box below so you can find them easily and make your artistic journey so much cozier, so much better in this autumn season. I hope you enjoyed this episode and it helped you and inspired you to start a cozy season in your artistic journey or at your home, in your art gallery or art studio. If you enjoyed this episode and find it helpful, give it a like, subscribe to my YouTube channel for more interesting behind the scenes episodes to the Lucy Shop Art Studio. I highly recommend to watch this playlist where I share with you the entire process of my new home art studio renovation. I shared with you a lot of inspiration, tips, and behind the scenes that I'm sure you're gonna enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.